Actually stolen.
Well, because now she's getting all of
No, but this is new, like the sweater. The flannel on the leather sweater, you know.
Erin, what are you doing? Monday and I'm used to next week. I went home fast. I took a break because I was.
Well, that's gone. Yeah, that's, no, that's the drive out. So go.
Sam, are you still?
Hey, good evening, everybody. Thank you for being here tonight. Just want to introduce Martin Evans from HVEAA. Right?
HVEA.
HVEA. I didn't want to add an extra A. Sorry about that. So Martin is, well, I'm not sure exactly what your title is. I'll let you introduce project manager for our bridge project. So he's going to give you a little presentation, or we'll have an opportunity to ask some questions. And thank you for being here. So with that, I'll turn it over.
Again, I'm Martin Evans. I'm the project manager from Hudson Valley Engineering and Associates. We're at Baden, New York. Our greeter tonight is James Curra. He's our structural engineer. Preliminary design. He works under our principal, John Ballison, who heads our structures department.
Do you need me to sit there in advance for you?
Yeah, please. The space bar phone. Space bar.
Space bar. No?
I think it's because you're in the Zoom window, not in the PowerPoint window. So you need to minimize the Zoom and get into the PowerPoint window.
Oh, you're right. I want to let you do it, but yeah, you are in the Zoom. Show presentation, yeah. There you go, that's fine, we can do it from there. Yeah, that'll work. Yep.
Okay. Sorry about that.
Thanks.
So this project to replace this bridge is being efforted by the town of Rochester. So they're managing it, but it's a reimbursement program. It's actually federally funded through the New York State DOT Bridge New York program. And that's a reimbursement program. So the town first instances the funds and then they get reimbursed as they go. So our format tonight, it's a very short slide presentation. And then we'll discuss any questions and answers in the group, or if you want to just talk privately over the boards, that's fine. And you have opportunity to provide written comments. If you do, it goes in the final design report. We'll reply to your format formally. That proves to New York State DOT that there were people here at the meeting and kind of gives a gauge on how the project is being received. So, yes. So again, you've received a comment form and a brochure. Your comments. You guys know the area better than we do. Any detailed questions you have, how challenging, it makes it a better project. So please let us know your thoughts. Again, as your neighbors, and you're well aware that the bridge is just southwest of Dunn Farm Road intersection with Boyce Mill, where the star is. The bridge is heading towards closure. Now we've got major section loss in the main beams and the cross members. I don't know if you can see this or not, but here you can see the wood deck through the bracing here. The load rating on the bridge is going down. Heavy vehicles should not be going over the bridge at present. The wood deck, though this is good when new, doesn't supply the maximum lateral stability on the bridge. So that in combination with weakened steel makes the bridge suspect.
Oh, sorry.
The other thing is, the bridge itself is not founded on a rock. This buttress wall here that was placed later is starting to undermine. You can actually see that here, and we're seeing scour. So again, it's
Where is it undermining?
well that the
Oh, okay.
that buttress walls that's visible there. Again, that was placed later to stabilize the structure.
That was there originally. That
Oh, it
part
was
of
in the twenties?
original
It
bridge.
was? Okay, so it's a stabilized.
What does scour mean?
Oh, thank you. Scour means the stream, the water flow itself is eating out the earth underneath the bridge. That's why our new structures over water in New York State, it's required that they're founded on rock, either directly on rock or on piles.
Which is it gonna be?
It's a combination. Stay tuned. I'll show you. Please advance.
Okay.
Now, even though the town has applied for funding to replace the bridge, as part of the process, we do look at the do-nothing alternative, which is in a sense remove the bridge. And that's not considered feasible from an emergency service or maintenance snowplow or desired school bus operation. So I mean, that was settled kind of before we got involved at the application. But that's something that is accounted for in our document itself. So moving on to the bridge replacement option. This again. You know, we set goals. You know, what do we want? What's important to us on this job? First is costs are going way high. I mean, and we need the most cost-effective, low-maintenance alternative that we can. So, I mean, cost was an issue when we designed at least this proposal. And the second was really to maintain the character of the roadway and minimize impact on the adjacent properties. And if you could go to the next screen, I'll elaborate a little bit. You know, this is a country road that, you know, we've got trees very close to the roadway. The lanes are 9 feet wide. The alignment is really tight. If I run this through New York State DOT design criteria, you know, they want us to flatten this S-curve, but we didn't think that was appropriate for the road. You know, people slow down. It's got that rural character, so we wanted to preserve that. And again, the adjacent properties are scenic, and you know, we didn't want to disturb any more than we had to. So that, you know, that's why that was elevated into the goals portion of the project. A little bit about the existing site. Whenever we do a project, we're looking for potential impacts. The first is the stream itself is a Class A trout stream, according to DEC. That's a very high quality water body. And the impacts of that are that when the contractor works on this, he can only put his cofferdams, his sandbags to preserve erosion between May 1st and September 30th. So he's restricted to that time period to work in the stream. And so that's outside the trout spawning season. And then you have a greater potential of having lower flows and all this and such.
We should hold our questions, right?
I'm sorry?
Hold questions.
Yeah, if you don't mind, yeah, we can go back anywhere and slide that. The second issue is are mammals of concern. There's no habitats, but animals of concern in the area are bats, the northern long-eared bat and the Indiana bat. Again, there's no habitat, but there's potential transitory roosting trees that they could hit. So that requires that any tree removals happen before March 31st, when they're not going to be actively in the area. So you can see there's constraints with scheduling the job. We need to part of the winter and part of the summer. There are state wetlands in the area and federal wetlands, but they're not close to the bridge. We're really outside the state wetland buffer. We did identify that this stream coming down qualifies for a federal wetland area very close to the stream banks, but we're not going to be impacting that. The structure up by Dunn Farm Road, house, that's on the National Historic Register. And so we have to submit our proposal to the State Historic Preservation to make sure that there's going to be no effect. So we get an effect determination from them. And if we get a no effect or no adverse effect, we can move forward to design approval. And we've sampled and tested the bridge, for any asbestos chemicals. It's a lab out of New Jersey, really came back negative. And lastly, this close agricultural district property, and there's no effect on there either. Yes, please. The next issue is really the watershed and the amount of flooding. So the Falls Mill Brook has got a watershed area of about 16.3 square miles. So it's a sizable area. It generates a good amount of flow. In terms of cubic feet per second, for the 2% event, which is what we call a 50-year storm, it's about 3,700 CFS. And the 1% storm or the 100-year storm is about 4,500 CFS. And so that's a lot of flow that comes down. And then the high storm events, as you guys are, oh, now it's working. This whole backwater area, even past this pond, according to the flood insurance studies that are in the area, is inundated. You go to the next slide.
It's probably because we were in the Zoom before, why it wasn't working.
Okay. So again, this area up here, and we haven't modeled the water as really overtopping the road, but we do model it in our hydraulic modeling software as this whole area being inundated. Now the bridge we're putting back is very close to the bridge that's there, so it's not going to change. Your hydraulic water surface profile really is not being affected by the bridge. So here's our first shot of the new bridge. And the existing bridge has got steel beams and a wood deck. And the thickness of that bridge is a little bit taller. This is a thinner bridge. These members here, these blocks, they're pre-stressed wooded concrete slabs, and they're topped by a concrete deck. So this would be lower maintenance than the existing bridge. And it's thinner, and the thinness really picks it up out of that water a bit, stored in that. Now here's the profile of the new bridge. I'll talk about a couple of different things. Let's talk about the surface itself, where the bridge is going to end up. Now this side is the Dunn Farm Road side, northeast. And so the new road is going to be very close to the existing road, just a matter of a couple inches on that side. And it'll smooth out here. So I mean that's very, very close to the existing grade, and that was key in minimizing impacts to the properties over here.
Is that a retaining wall on the bottom side there?
These are abutments. I'll show you that in just a second. And just on the other side, there's an abrupt kind of angle point before the bridge. And so we're smoothing that out a bit. We're picking it up about 8 or 9 inches on that side. And it's just going to be a little bit smoother over the bridge. So that's the profile. Again, you can see this dash line. That's the existing beam, the bottom of it. The new deck is getting thinner. So we're picking it up about 6 inches here on the underside.
That tilt is the natural incline?
Yes,
Going
yeah.
from right to left?
Yeah, so at the top of the hill coming down from the Sansonville side, and comes here, then it abruptly flattens on the bridge. I don't know if you can see that. Comes down steep and then abruptly flattens. And then this is the existing grade. So we're pretty much following it up here. It's just for about 25 or 30 feet in this area. It's just smoothed out a little bit. Now, there's some questions about this underside method. So let me first tell you about, we talked about the bridge needing to be founded on rock. And so our rock profile under the earth here dives as you go from the Sandsville side to the Dunn Farm side. So on this side, we've got a tall bridge wall, an abutment wall that's actually sitting on rock here. On the Dunn Farm side, this is going to be on piles, and the rock surface is down here. So this is what we call kind of a stub abutment. So it's a concrete block at the top with piles emitting from the bottom. So it's on stilts going down to the rock.
How deep?
I have a rock surface profile right in
Is there a possibility that will affect local wells? There's 3 wells right nearby.
No.
Mm.
This is about 26 feet down from the road surface. On the yeah. This is 26 to 30 feet in this area, this height. Yeah. This is, I'm sorry, there was a question. Was there another question on the wall?
Drive sheathing in there then to go down 26 feet? Below the
Yes,
floor there?
well, we're gonna have to level this off here and then either drive the piles or drill them. Here's a plan view of the bridge. Again, the existing road's 9-foot lanes, but on the bridge itself, we added 4-foot shoulders. And we opened it up and we necked it down really quick. And the logic behind that was, if you're walking here, you always have a chance to step off behind a tree, grass. But on the bridge, you really have nowhere to go. So it was advisable to provide a little bit more room over the bridge. Helps with maintenance and maintenance room, so on and so forth.
So it's going to be 8 feet wider.
Yes,
4 and 4.
total 4 and 4, 8 feet wide, 9-foot lane, 9 and 4.
Each lane is 9 foot,
Each lane is 9 foot, yes.
plus 1 foot on the sides.
That's what so.
Part of the reasoning for the widening is in order to get the federal funding, things must be made pedestrian and bicycle accessible, and the 9-foot existing width is not considered accessible for pedestrians and bicycles. So one of the things we had to commit to in designing this was the addition, and that's under the federal regulations that we have to follow. So, but we're only doing the bridge itself, as Martin said. We're not widening the roadway when you get back into the road. Right.
Some flood you had got busted up against that bridge and sent the water out and around. So by not raising it, you're just gonna have the same problem again when the water gets deep.
Back to the profile. So we are raising the bridge here, so it is coming up somewhat.
Yeah, it's the other side. That's where it got jammed up in the center, set the water off the right side, 3 foot over top of the road,
So
right here, yep.
the flood here.
It came up over the road.
Okay. Nothing.
So there is potential for flooding still, even if you're.
There is, no, that's a very good point. An extreme storm event is, we tried to look at the balance. I mean, we're trying to pick this up a bit. And, this abutment sitting back about 5 feet wider than it is today at the top, so you do have more capacity. But now we make the decision, to pick this up any higher, we begin to impact the adjacent property.
I'm
So I
concerned about thinking, I'm concerned about the erosion of more of our property. If the span of the stream is stretched out and the water can come under the bridge more, the erosion on our property, since the other bridge was replaced, we've already lost anywhere from 4 to 10 feet on the property since the other bridge was put in. Because of the abutment changes and how the flood water hits the bridge and goes under the bridge. So we're concerned that not only with surrounding, but losing more of our stream on our property that comes off of the stone house, goes down to the stream over the waterfall. We're concerned with more erosion. And if that's the case, is that also worked into put some kind of erosion control down along our stream bed so we don't lose any more property? If you're changing the width of the bridge, the concrete, the level of it, and the capacity for more water to be flowing underneath it at one time, because we're definitely going to be losing more property.
Well, I'm not sure I agree. It's gonna flow under or it's gonna go over, but it's gonna flow.
Yeah,
Under.
it's wider, and if you're creating a wider space, it's more water that's coming, the force of the water. I've lived there my entire life. I've seen all kinds of things. My parents lived there for 40 years before I did. Possibilities of just a minor structural change on a bridge, which doesn't seem to be a lot and makes sense, it needs to be replaced, but also has a really huge effect. Those few little inches, you're saying 6 inches here, 8 inches there, 5 feet wider, 8 feet wider. That changes everything when the water is coming around that stream bed under the bridge at full torrent speed.
Well, we could look more into that, the downstream effects.
That's all we're concerned about, is losing more property, not having any form of erosion protection.
We've done
I'm just trying to be honest. Well,
it. And now,
Yeah, no.
one item with the federal aid project and the state funding project is they're not gonna allow us to build anything on private property. And,
Your damage should have. Why do we have to pay for it to fix it? Oh, if you're gonna make it bigger and it's a road taking on your property, they're saying not to take care of
well,
it.
I'm
It's not
not,
their responsibility.
I'm not conceding that we're adding flow downstream
right.
at this point. But the bridge itself, the municipality, the town does not claim ownership of the road. So we had to acquire the bed of the road in fee, from the toe of the slope to the tops of any cuts.
I'm not following. Could you just say that again?
So
The words.
the municipality
Yeah.
is not claiming any ownership of the roadbed. So we have to purchase it from the adjacent property owners to replace the bridge where it is. So our surveyor has mapped your property line to the middle of the roadway. So to actually replace the bridge, we need the rights to do that, which the feds don't recognize the current right to do that. So we have to acquire the bed of the road and the side slopes to be able to get in there and replace it. It's about 5,000 square feet on either side there.
On both, on each side or?
On each side, yeah. In addition to that, in purple is a a little bit more working. It's about, I think, 1,000 square feet here, maybe 1,600 square feet in this area. So that involves the federal aid right-of-way process where your property will be mapped, it will be appraised, and market value proposals will be brought to you. Our real estate persons will be doing that. A little bit about construction.
I'm sorry, I know I'm a pain, but, so it said easement, it didn't say ownership. So you're purchasing an easement?
Now, this in green
Yeah,
is a fee take, so that's full ownership. We actually went to the DOT to try and do everything in easements. But DOT, stated that the adjacent owners do not have any use of the bridge itself. It's really should be in public ownership. So in green will be a full property take easement.
does that mean that the town can do whatever they want on that property?
They'll have full ownership of that area.
Yikes.
The place for the baseball stadium.
Huh?
Well, yeah.
Well, I mean,
No, I know.
the acquisitions for a specific intent. It will be for highway purposes.
Would,
So-
would it be?
So the answer is no, they can't do it.
So could that be, if there's a proposal for a certain fee for ownership of that 5,000 square feet and then also the purple area, can that, I just don't know real estate law, but can it just be specified what can and can't be done on that? Leave brush alone, leave trees alone, don't build, you can't build a structure on it, can that be done? It's
Well,
maybe-
So the taking is for the purpose of constructing the bridge.
That's for the purpose.
Right.
That doesn't mean that somebody can change their mind and say, we need to put a station here for something.
I'm not really following what you're
Well,
imagining.
If somebody owns the property, they can do what they want.
Right, but this is a roadway. We, by getting this funding, we're required to, I believe, for a period of time, it's not in perpetuity, and that I'm not entirely sure. The purpose of the taking is because the town doesn't own roadways. The town has an easement over. So right now, the town owns the structure of the bridge, but we don't own the land underneath.
Sure.
So, we can't build a new bridge. They don't allow us to.
No, I
So, yeah.
totally get
So
that.
the alternative, though, if we don't do this, is then we just have to close the bridge. So that's really the alternative. is-
Okay.
No, I don't mean to be like that, but I just mean, if they don't allow us to build the bridge, then we can't build the bridge. So
Right.
the green area will become town property. The purple area, I believe, if I'm understanding correctly, will be a temporary easement for during construction, would be an easement to allow us to access that. property.
No,
And when we're completed,
I totally understand the need for ownership of the property in order to
Mhm.
build a bridge.
Mhm.
Get it?
Mhm.
My problem is that that's my land, that's Randy and Laura's land, that's Alex, a little bit of Alex's land. We don't own it anymore. The owner can do what they want with it, the owners of town. The owner just might decide they need an a Tesla station there or something. Or God knows what, so my question is, from a real estate law point of view, can we say, we sell you this land, but you can't do anything on it besides build that bridge?
I'll be honest, I'd have to consult with an attorney because I don't know. the
No, I
answer.
don't, either do I, I'm just.
But in the reality is, if we don't acquire the land, and that's part of the process, is there's a team that will be reaching out to the people that this impacts and discussing the transaction.
Right.
But if we don't do it, the alternative is,
And I understand that it's unlikely that somebody's gonna wanna take that little strip plan and build something on it, but they can. If they decide they want to, and there's nothing.
well, the they is the town,
I know.
so.
I know, but that's not us. I mean, it's not an opposite, it's not an adversarial thing.
No, I get it, I get it.
And I totally understand. that
I
you
just
need to do
don't, I can't answer your question
Yeah,
tonight because I don't know the answer.
it. Yeah, nor do I.
So, yeah, I will find out the answer for you.
It's really defining what highway purposes.
Yeah, it's the
Oh,
taking is
listed
defined
as
for
highway.
highway purposes.
The acquisition
Well, that's a start.
for highway purposes, but when you threw out a shoulder or a utility, like a utility pole, you know, I mean, like,
Yeah.
there's what is included in highway purposes. Because of course, they're not building a building,
Right.
but what is included under highway purposes, is really your question.
That is exactly right. Yeah.
Yeah. If we grow up.
It
So
all
now
adds-
I gotta go through this town's property to get there.
Technically, yes.
On the left side there, we gotta.
But that can be then an easement.
That would be a permanent easement. That would
Yeah,
be.
They got there, that's fine. We were gonna talk to them about.
I'm
that
sorry.
anyway.
We can't, we have to,
Sell it to you, and then later on find out that we can't get our property. We're crossing through
that's
somebody
the
else's
key.
property.
Sometimes you acquire a fee with access
Okay.
and a fee without access. Like interstate roadways, they acquire all that right of way without access. So you never can put a driveway. In this case, it will be with access. So if you change your access, it really reverts to the town.
Yeah,
But you have a right to access through this. Here, we're talking about the construction itself. You know, really the only place for a crane is in this quadrant here. So we envision that the beams will actually be back down from Sampsonville Road the whole way under flagger support.
Sampsonville or Boise?
Sampsonville all the way back up. So Sampsonville Road is down here, so the beams will be back here and actually picked off the truck and placed in this way. Of course, they're not gonna swing them all. This is kind of a standard way of showing the crane swing. It'll be, the arc will be shallower than this.
Where the crane is. Where the what is?
I'm sorry.
Could you just point out where the bridge is? Bridge is the blue.
The bridge is the
Yeah.
dark blue outline.
Here's the
Right.
bridge.
Right.
Here's the footprint of the crane with its outriggers. And here's the beam. That's
Can you
picked
show
up
where
with the-
Dunn Farm and Sampsonville Road are in terms of direction?
Dunn Farm is up here.
And they're just rotating.
Sampsonville is down here. So it's pretty far.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that was just what.
Yeah.
Teams, is that them?
Again, the arc is gonna be a lot steeper than this. This
Do
is
you-
just kind of a standard.
Do you realize that where that crane is, there's actually a house there now? It's not reflected in any of your photographs.
Well, the house is not where the crane is. It's for,
We
No,
do,
that's not correct,
this-
sir.
the road is right here.
Yep, there's a new house there. Right there with. the
Yeah,
crayons.
I looked at the site plan, the building envelope for the site plan itself, and plotted it, and we're well outside that with the crane.
Can't be. There's no possible way. There's not enough room. There's not enough room.
Well, the house has to be set back from the road, which has to be at least.
So you're looking at this right now? So there's a house right here. It looks like your crane is right here. Or can you point on here where the crane would be?
The crane is where the car in this area.
Okay. So there's a house right here. I don't know if you're aware.
Yeah, we looked at the site plan for which the house is built,
Uh-huh.
and that the required offsets on the property line,
Yeah.
we plotted them. And the crane is outside those.
Yeah.
But just keep in mind that we're forecasting how it's gonna be done.
Right.
The contractor has their own means and methods, they're gonna site the crane, they're gonna.
Can we allow him to finish the presentation? I apologize, but
No,
it's
no,
just,
I apologize.
no, it's okay. There'll be plenty of time to ask questions and.
If the crane needs to be parked on the road more, they're gonna move the crane. They're gonna pick it up over top. Now, this is kind of a representative drawing.
Gotcha.
Going back to, what we were talking about, again, the bridge is gonna be closed during construction. Stage construction it costs a fortune to do. It really increases the cost of the project, and it's not really feasible on the site. Boyce Mill Road, we closed, close to Dunn Farm here. But access only for the residents here, and we'll have to heavily sign and make sure we don't have any heavy vehicles coming down here and get stuck and dead-ended. But you do have access, alternative access, in this roadway network, besides Boyce Mill.
When you say heavy vehicles, UPS, is that considered a heavy vehicle?
No, longer tractor trailer.
Okay.
They can't turn around. All right, so now our project schedule. Now we're hoping to get approval of this concept by February of 2024. We would complete the design plans by June. And we want a bid opening kind of fall, early fall, because that's where we're going to get the best prices from contractors at that point. We're going to be the most aggressive. We need to begin construction by February. Remember, we talked about the Indiana and northern long-eared bats. So the tree clearing needs to be done at that time, whatever trees need to come out. The construction duration I have here 10 months. Again, that's very conservative because we're closing the road. We had a project in East Fishkill this year. The bridge was about 25 feet longer than this. It had stage construction, a temporary bridge. The temporary bridge was wiped out due to a flood. They had to replace it. They had to repair damage, but they started in May and they finished in November. So this is, again, this is very conservative as far as schedule.
It's conservative or it's generous?
No, he's
Both.
the same.
Generous, yes.
Oh,
very
okay.
generous. Too long.
Yeah.
He's estimating longer by being conservative.
Of the construction.
Yeah.
I think the
Okay,
construction
yeah.
time is gonna be 6 to 8 months, but, just to be safe, I put down 10, because it really depends on the sophistication of the contract. Going with it. What we get, so,
Thank you, Mike Baden.
thank you.
Can we go back to the crane?
Sure.
Is that okay now?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
I just
sorry.
wanted to let
No,
him
no,
finish
I-
before we got into, thank you.
I can't retain, but no, 45 seconds. What's wrong?
Okay.
Sorry.
So the
Yeah,
green
so
temporary
I'm
is
very
on-
interested in what the blue is.
We have a crane and a catalog, and it tells us what the maximum swing of that crane is. So we put that drawing, we put it on the plan, so that the blue area is theoretical maximum reach that this crane has with the weight of the beam.
Okay.
without flipping over.
I got, no, okay,
So-
now I get it, totally makes sense. That's my property where the blue is, there's a lot of trees.
Yeah, no, we're not going out into here. We can't, because we don't have an easement out that far. We can't disturb that. So this is a little bit misleading. I'm sorry about that, but the crane is gonna pick the beam up in a much shallower arm.
So that's just what it can do, but it's not but it won't do that.
No,
So will there be
well,
trees?
it can't. In other words, we don't have the rights to do that.
Will there be trees taken from this area?
Yes, there will be.
I mean, it's like a forest.
Yeah, I just, to get the bridge in there and to excavate the footings on either side, there's,
And then what about the trees in front of our property?
Their
Which is
property
where
is
the crane
where the
is.
crane is.
yes, we'll have to take a look closer at those trees.
On the other side.
And really restrict the contractor. We can put in plans what trees to protect, and we can actually put.
No, the
protection
crane is
measures,
on the Sampsonville roads.
Well, what I'm talking about is all these trees. I mean, and this is off season, right? It's off season. This is a dense. You know, and I think that's what you're really talking about.
Together, right now. The trees will be in this localized area here, here.
I meant here, I got it all. It's here, not.
I think maybe another way of asking the question is, there's at least two very large sycamore trees.
Yes.
That are
Here.
right next to the bridge on the downstream side. And I think the question is, are those going to need
possible-
to be cut down?
Or is it possible to preserve?
Probably the answer is yes, they will need to be cut down, just given what the drawings look like.
Right.
So there's one tree that's very close to the bridge here. It's a very mature
Right next to the
tree, right next to the
There's a
bridge.
big one here and a
Yeah.
big one here.
This tree is really in the excavation area. No matter what bridge, to replace the bridge exactly the way it is, this bridge would come out. There's no way to save that tree. This tree is about 50 feet away from the bridge. And our excavation limit should be outside the drip line of the branches. So it was our goal not to touch this tree and preserve it by limiting our excavation and not bringing the road up in front of it. So I think that's the story of the two major trees.
And this area,
Easier to see on that.
Yeah, this, you can see, this is, the wall for the bridge is right in this area. So this corner,
Martin, could you go back to the existing picture that you showed? That may show some of the.
Good, hurry up.
Yeah.
Good.
It was near the beginning of the
Rural fair.
rural, lane.
So these are the two sycamore trees.
yeah, so this tree we can't save.
The one on the right that's in the foreground,
This
we're
tree,
going to,
it's our objective to not touch that tree. Well, I mean, we're not coming anywhere closer to it, but our concern is, are we gonna get it into any of the root systems of the tree by digging out the abutment here? So we're not going as far as the culvert. But our excavation limit for the bridge is
Give an idea.
outside the drip line of 2 branches over. So of this big tree here, so.
until you get down in the ground, you won't know which way the roots actually grew. So,
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
it's a piece of older, a little damage to the root system.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
But the goal is that one from, we've tried to identify that one to remain.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Yeah, this is, I'm sorry, but this is that area that I was talking about, that you say you have to clear out these trees.
There'll be some trees that are lost.
Well,
Okay.
it is an option. It is an option.
Do you know how romantic that would be?
It's the issue in school bus, EMS.
Well, they can't because they can't go across the bridge.
Right, there are no school buses right now because they
They
can't
can't go across the bridge, that's why. They're just anxious to go across it, but they can't.
Used to.
They used to.
The-
They stopped.
We do need. You guys definitely.
Yeah, to get these abutments in here, it's gonna be excavation. So,
Nothing we can fix with a cable car.
Yeah.
We've gone as low with the weight limit as the state will allow us. The next letter we get from them will be closed bridge.
What's gonna be the weight limit for the new bridge?
36,000 pounds.
I was thinking more of the towns.
Yeah, well, that's combined. It's 10. Do you know the geology of that section of the stream? Like, I'm just guessing from the name of the road that it was a mill race at some point. But the geology right there before it goes over the waterfall, is that all natural or was that made by people? It's all natural.
I talked to the geologist. Did I talk to you about that?
Yes,
The geologist told me
So sure.
that all of this,
It is natural.
that this was a massive lake 10,000 years ago. And this waterfall, I think I told you guys this waterfall, this is what remains of a waterfall that went all the way down basically to Nick and Nelda's place. Or Toko's place, even.
Believe that.
That the way that it falls off.
Is that rock ledge? Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
all
so
right
it's-
now. Yeah. You guys were in the way.
Now they're gonna get blasted. We are now. Get that rock on the other side.
there'll be rock removal. I'll have to find out whether it's rippable or not without blasting.
Unfortunately.
The last time
House is
the
pretty
other
close.
bridge was, bridge that's there now was blasting and we
Yeah,
had
the
issues
house.
with the rock ledge and the vibrations in our house.
Rock's actually hit the house.
To this day, if sand trucks or a heavy truck goes up through either side of our goats, our house will vibrate because of the rock ledge that it's sitting. So those are all very real concerns.
And there's a strip of land we're telling you about, what you're gonna lose when you widen that bridge out to road our entire side there, that good stream. That's what we'll lose.
Well, we're not taking a lot of rock out. We're going down to rock. There's not rock in there. There's not rock there.
No.
It's the rock is deep.
Correct.
And so we're
Only
not,
6 feet down.
we're not gonna be blasting.
It's that bridge is probably gonna be the same spot, or we'll move it back further.
The bridge above there at the bottom will be at the same spot. But it'll be 5 feet back at the top.
Through.
Through.
Widens the
Widens the
stream bed,
Stream bed
which
wider.
erodes our whole lawn that's right along the stream bed to the top of the walls.
The one they just replaced, only moved about 4 feet wider, we lost 4 to 10 feet.
And we could look at downstream impacts, like you're saying, that's what we usually comment on. So we really look at.
I don't know if it just as, so if you look at the bend of the creek before the bridge, all this is now gone from a flood 2 years ago. This disappeared. This arrived during Irene. Stream used to go like this. Yeah. This arrived during Irene. The flood just filled it with silt, blocked it. And so now the creek, which comes this way, goes like this. this is all sand. This is, since I've been there for 8 years, it's gone from like here to here. Even farther, much farther than this. And it's currently now eating away at this at the rate of, I'm just gonna guess, given the past few years, like 8 feet a summer. It's all sand. I'm told by Mark Dunn, it's all sand. It just keeps going away. So eventually, I mean, downstream, that's gonna, some point in our lifetimes or our children's lifetimes, that little peninsula there will be gone.
Right, so it's now cut back through here.
Yeah, it's cut back to there.
Because
Yeah,
Oxbow is
yes,
filled in.
yeah.
It's hitting this.
It's hitting that and it's hitting it with force. And it's just, you know, I don't know if you know.
High raise.
High rainstorm, I mean, I go up, there's a big rainstorm, I'll go out and the bank, which is a high bank, a high sand bank, is gone 2 or 3 feet less. There's big chunks of grass sitting in the stream getting washed away. And that, I mean, that's, you know, it's clear that you can see the paths I up there, I mowed those to walk, and you've got I have to keep mowing them because it just keeps getting turning into creek. And this is just in the past few years. So Irene changed the sort of geologic development. I don't know if that matters.
From the standpoint of, I'll just say one more time, standpoint of environmental impact and land impact. We, widening the bridge, the stream bed, we put new abutments in. We stand the greatest chance of losing property to floods and to the wider stream bed, because now you're widening the stream bed, which creates just a wider flow, which is going to cut even more of our lawn off. So we stand on losing another 4 to 10, 12 feet of property. So I didn't really see the numbers on what the widening of the stream bed would be. So in other words, what is the footage between the abutments as they stand now under the bridge? And what are you proposing the distance between the abutments on the 2 sides of the bridge are going to be with the new one being put in?
How wide is the flow?
No, how wide is the
Your
abutment,
engines.
the expansion, not the bridge expansion, but the land to land abutment expansion.
One side won't go nowhere because it's a solid rock ledge.
Right.
Okay, so the existing stream bed at the water surface during low flow stays where it is. At the top of the bridge, abutment to abutment, the existing bridge is 50 feet in length. It's on a skew, but as far as beam length goes, it's 50 feet.
From like those 2 cement pillars that are holding it, the
Yes.
old bridge.
The old bridge is about 50 feet,
50 feet, okay.
and the new bridge is 55 feet up here.
So that's just another 5 foot of lawn that we've already lost because you're widening the stream bed by 5 feet under the bridge.
Well, the opening at the top, you're saying. So what you're saying is that you would want us to use a high abutment and keep the
I
same.
don't want the abutments moved. The abutments can't be wider. That's what I'm saying, because if you're widening, you're moving the abutment on our side of the stream, Jay's and our side of the stream, you're widening the stream bed by 5 feet on that side, which takes the stream bed 5 feet into our property where the stream naturally flows.
Takes about a week.
Yeah.
The stream
Is
to take
this-
over.
So we're gonna lose 5 feet of lawn
No, I'm
all the way
hearing what
down
you're
from the
saying.
bridge to the waterfall.
We're gonna look at the downstream impacts and we'll look at the structure itself.
Plus that affects what goes over the waterfall. And how the lawn floods.
Does that diagram, I know, I can see that there's like a lighter black line that's showing, I guess, the existing road profile.
Yeah.
Is there a way of reading the image of the bridge abutments and the bridge surface there that also shows the existing profile? Is it like, I see there's that dotted line below the new bridge profile.
Right,
which
well-
I'm assuming is the
See-
old bridge.
The new and the old are the same pretty much on this side.
Okay,
Here, you see this little triangle?
yeah,
The existing is
Is
the
the
lower
bottom.
part, and the new one is about 8 inches higher.
and then in terms of the abutments, what are the existing abutments? Are those shown here?
Yeah, the existing abutment is in the same spot on this side. This
the
is your
existing
existing.
right there.
That's the existing abutment.
Yes.
And the new one is the
File, got it, okay, thank you.
Where was it? I'm sorry. That line going
This is the existing profile.
And that's like that, the concrete, that's like what we were seeing in that picture where you were showing the undercutting,
Yes,
is that, okay?
And that's.
the
getting
undercutting
removed.
picture was on this side. I can show you,
Impact on property. And that sounds like a lot, but it is.
And then another question that's sort of on that same subject is, I know when they replaced the bridge on 209 where the Mombacus comes into the Rondout, one of the things they did was they made it a lot wider to limit flooding upstream of the bridge. Is part of the purpose for widening here to limit flooding upstream?
No, it's just not one.
No, that's widening the roadway, the span of the bridge.
the
you're saying,
survivability of the bridge.
in a flood.
Yeah.
So it is the same. It's like, you don't want the bridge to act as a dam in a flooding event, because that's what leads to,
Well, the whole valley is acting as a dam. The bridge is being picked up out of a certain storm event.
part of the difference too, Sam. A state road, the state owns the road bed, they own the land underneath it, and they also own areas left, on both sides of it. They own that property. That property is in town roads. We have an easement for the road surface to maintain the road, and in most cases, our easement is pavement edge to pavement edge. And if there is a drainage ditch on either side, includes the drainage ditch. But in most cases, depending on if it's a newer road in a subdivision, that's another story. But I guarantee you, this is not one of those
I think what I was
roads.
trying to understand is like here, very clearly the downside of the span being widened by 5 feet. I was trying to understand the upside of expanding the span by 5 feet, just so that there was like at least a clear picture of the advantage of making the span wider. I understand the disadvantage, but what's the advantage of making the span wider?
The advantage is really cost. So there are alternatives on how to treat that side.
Mhm.
The stub abutment on that side, but it's set back on a slope, is a lot cheaper than a high wall. So we can look at the high abutment instead of the stub. So at the stream, it's the same width. We just set back that abutment because it's a stub abutment, it's shorter on piles. So, and we're gonna go back and we're gonna reconsider it.
So it's an engineering cost and like construction process consideration, not a.
Construction costs.
And the cost of the bridge, since when we applied, which was at that time, a reasonable estimate of cost, have risen considerably, and we can attempt to get an additional funding for the cost overestimates, but there's no guarantee. So the town will, our goal is to do it not necessarily as cheaply, but as efficiently and cheaply as
What's the
combined.
budget at the moment?
Well, the grant was for 1.999999 million. I'm not quite sure why, how it was arrived at that, yeah.
Keep it under 2 mil.
The federal government through the state will refund 95% of that cost, and the town is 5%. So essentially, the town's cost is approximately 100,000 at this point, and 1.9 million from the federal. The cost estimates now are in neighborhood of 2.6 or 7 million now. Yeah, it's about another 800,000. There are some other sources that we could attempt next year in 2024 to try to secure additional funding. There's no guarantee that we will or won't get. It can be done. It's just a matter you're competing against everybody else who's running into the same problems. We're at about a 40% cost estimate overrun right now, and my guess is everybody else who got bridge grants at the same time we did in 2021 is probably facing the same. So
Our property, we want, for us, not speaking for the impact it's gonna have on other people's property. If the bridge is done, which we know it needs to be done, we want to make sure that erosion on our property because of the new bridge is taken care of, and it's not our expense to take care of it, and we're not losing lawn because of the widening of the bridge and
Understood.
waterfall. That's
Understood.
what we're.
And so out of tonight, and this is exactly what the purpose of this meeting was tonight, to get feedback. And, you know, Martin will take that information back and run new numbers, and so, thank you. Please don't take it that we're being argumentative. We want to hear the feedback. We want to try to work to solutions. We will try to come up with the best solutions for the answers. But it's very valuable feedback. Thank you very much for that. And your knowledge of having lived there and watched it and seen it, and the same with your knowledge of the stream, it's helpful. Absolutely helpful. So.
I just have one more question about these abutments. I'm really sorry, but so you say that you have to spread them out an extra 5 feet. What was your decision as to spreading out or pushing the 5 feet onto the north side or the Dunn side, as opposed to taking the 5 foot off of the other side?
Yeah, that works. We don't get erosion. We won't get erosion if you spread it up. That's not gonna erode our property. So that doesn't bother us. It's only their side.
Well, there's more water flowing through, but it would be flowing onto the rock ledge as opposed to flowing onto the dirt bank. That was the only problem. I just was wondering why.
I have an answer for that. I mean, it is the profile. It's just taking a long time to get through. It has to do where the rock is. On the Dunn Farm side, we need to put piles in.
Right.
On the Sansonville side, the rock is shallow, so it's cheaper to build a wall directly down.
Right.
But on the Dunn Farm side, the rock is deeper when you need to use piles. And when you use piles, you can use what they call a concrete block at the top, or a stub abutment. That stub abutment can't sit right at the edge of the stream like a wall can. It's got to be set back, and you need to protect it with stone. So
So you need the extra space on Dunn side. Just, for
right. It's just the type of abutment we pick is the cheapest. And to put the cheapest in, we needed to set back the slope. That's
So when you're gonna put the pile in, set back from the stream, and then you're gonna have a slope of rock that runs from the stream up to the top to the ground where the pile, where that block, that concrete block.
Could you go forward quick to the profile?
Sure.
Profile?
Yeah, keep going.
Yeah.
One more. Okay. So again, this is a straight wall up. The rock is shallow, rock is deep here, and with piles, we set it on a shorter block at the top. That can't be right next to the stream. So it was set back. And there's a slope that's lined with stone.
The existing is not sitting on rock, correct?
Right.
Yes,
The
that's part of it
existing is a
too.
wall.
The existing is just.
That
Just to move this back and build, we would have to build this and put piles under it and have a high wall. It's just more expensive. Is that?
I mean, we can look at the cost estimate,
Yeah.
doing it that way and see what the difference is.
Well, the more expensive route is not always the worst route when you're talking
Agreed.
about property and,
Yep.
and,
Understood.
you know, preserving things.
Yeah.
I
I hear you. So that's what we'll do.
Yeah, we can run the numbers that way and see the difference.
Just referring to my structures engineer, I've been setting things that violate.
Give me some.
No, that's- Okay. good. I saw that.
And you can run the hydraulic calculations as well for the estimates of the
Yes.
change in the flow of water to confirm.
What is the next step?
Well, right now we're in preliminary design, which is getting a concept that the community agrees with. We're hoping to settle that by February, and then we can actually put the plans together with the bridge. After that, we go to bid in the fall for a construction contract.
We
So,
do this again?
again, we can talk about
We
it,
certainly
but we
can.
definitely need to revisit this
Yeah.
issue together in some form. So, yeah, we'd be happy to come out and have another meeting.
Once.
I
the
won't come.
Once the construction starts, our biggest concern is noise and movement. To Laura's point, like, we're right next to the construction. What is the time? Are they working 7 to 3? What time are they there and what is it gonna look like?
Well, we can make those provisions in the contract, usually a minimum of 8 hour a day is, 8 to 4, have that.
And is it super noisy the whole time? Is there,
That's popular.
I know you guys live there.
Great.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah, well,
the
construction site.
the machines the size of elephants. You know what I mean? It's just, it's construction, so they'll be removing. Your advantages here is you don't have a lot of concrete that you're removing, you don't have a lot of rock that you're digging through. So as far as construction contracts, taking off a wood deck, picking out steel beams, is gonna be a lot quieter than jacking and concrete out and such. But again, there's gonna be some concrete removal, existing abutments will come out. So they'll be taking that out, but it's not a massive effort. Jeff, do you wanna chime in at all, or?
No, and basically, because a lot of the material that they'll be using will be stored in our gravel bank, so it's not like you'll be staring at a lot of that stuff. But you will have to keep in mind, because most likely, yes, there is going to be equipment and trucks, and unfortunately, they are what they are when it comes to noise. But, normally we can work something out where, they're done by 4 o'clock or 3:30 or 3
We'll
o'clock.
likely be using up the town's
Yeah, our
property
gravel.
up on Crum Road there, we'll be using that for
Yeah.
staging and storage, so that, to answer the question about materials and things,
Yeah, you won't see it.
they'll be bringing it as they need it, and then,
That helps a little bit.
the
too.
equipment, unless it's equipment that's stationary and is not easily moved, will be stored up in our property, right around the corner there off of Dunn Farms. Except the crane.
Except the crane.
Crane's not gonna go anywhere.
Jeff, would you agree that the removal of the existing bridge and excavation probably the newest
Absolutely.
Yeah, it will be. That will be the.
There's no way
noisiest.
around that one.
The first start of the first phase of the project will be the noisiest. And then you'll start to notice that there's less and less and less of it. And in some cases, you kind of get used to it. after.
And we,
Yeah, I'm hoping it's not that long that you get used to it.
we absolutely.
Been there and
put-
done that.
Put in the contract requirements, you know, no more than 8-hour days. And
No weekend work.
we'll have to look at.
Yeah, no weekend. Yeah.
Hopefully no weekend work and, you know, so try to do it most daytime hours, you know, 7 to 3 kind of thing, 8 to 4, whatever, end up with it being.
On a positive note, I'm very glad that we're keeping it.
Yeah, that was trying, our main
That was-
goal.
Our main goal was to not, because we could have done a lot cheaper by just like plunking in a very modern bridge.
From the beginning to what, straighten the road.
Yeah.
Yep.
We moved away from that quickly when we looked at what we were gonna have to do for takings. We wanted to stay the rural look, but we wanted to be safe.
Thank you for appreciating
Thanks,
our
yeah.
looks. On the idea of the construction work, there will be damage to the area, you know, the trees gonna come down, whereas that's over there. Is there any, program by which it can be replanted?
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So it will be at least as nicely left as it was found.
Younger trees.
Younger trees. The trees will not be as tall.
No, they need to be 20-year-old. That's what I'm talking about.
It'll look nice minus the tree.
I mean, it will be landscaped, it will be, you
Yes.
know, we're not gonna walk away and leave it just a bunch of stubs of stumps and things like that. It will be, there will be replacement of landscaping of some sort. And the next generation will get to appreciate this.
That's what's important. The kids.
Absolutely. Do you want to break out into individual? If anyone, you know, wants to mill around and look, and if you have any additional questions, we'll be here for a little while. If not, thank you all for coming. We appreciate it. We'll keep you posted as best we can. Curiosity, everyone here, I'm assuming, we mailed the letter to everybody within 500 feet of the bridge. Did everyone who's
No.
here get a letter?
No.
You didn't get a
No.
letter.
And you know where to find me.
No, well, we sent it to the addresses for the land for where the tax bills go. So that's, thank you. I'm gonna make sure the next one gets to you, so. Yeah, because it should be correct on our tax bill.
I think I'm getting tax.
Yeah,
They
We can
had
talk
to correct that,
separately.
yeah, exactly. I think it was going to our old address.
okay.
Didn't
When
get
they
it.
changed language fire, when did he come, Falls Mill Brook? It's been my pockets for 87
Well,
years.
so there's
Hot
a,
topic.
there's a lot of them that are named on the geological survey maps as one thing, and then they're locally known as something else. So this is according to the,
Where did that start? Bridge and then the falls?
Yeah, fixing Mombacas to the bridge.
I would have to go back and look. There are some streams in this town that change names 5 times, but nobody calls it by all those other names. They call it by the name that we all know. Yeah. We actually, our Environmental Conservation Commission through the town petitioned to change the name of the one on 209, to change it back to the Mombacas. And the reason when you cross that bridge, you see the Mombacas sign, everybody says, no, that's the Rondout. It's the body of water that the bridge goes over.
Yeah.
And that's why that Mombacas, I took about 50 phone calls complaining about that sign, and I tried to explain it, and some people don't want to understand that. So the Falls Mill, when I first heard the name too, I was like, what stream is that? But that's what it's called on the geological survey map. So it's the state assigns what's called a BIN, a bridge identification number. Every bridge that is classified as a bridge, it's based on the number of feet, and
20
anything
20 or more.
20 or more is a bridge. Anything under that is a culvert. And, you know, it's kind of like a river and a creek, you know, the same thing. So, but So the short answer is I don't really know the answer, but because it is to all of us, it's the Mabacus, but to the paperwork, it's the Falls.
Yeah, we can't call them box on the
Yeah.
paperwork,
Right.
because then they don't know what we're talking about.
That's so
So-
strange.
Yes.
It is, and I think a lot of it, you know, it's like Sampsonville Road has 5 different names. It's the same thing.
True.
Yeah, so it depends on which agency you're talking to, what you follow.
Oh, I think you were the Evan Pritchard, the local.
I was,
And he said this is the Manassas.
yeah,
And he wants a sign saying Manassas, because it means island of Stony Island, which is what the 209 bridge goes over. That's Stony Island. That's how it got the name Manassas.
and the town board has had a number of requests already that when this is completed to name this Stubby Dunn Bridge, so.
Really?
Yes. Yes.
Cool.
So, and we are planning on trying to honor that.
Stubby's the guy that he's done.
I know,
Yeah.
just don't know.
I have to be honest, I don't even know his given name. I've just always known that.
He's Herman.
Herman, thank you. Yeah,
Urban.
yeah.
I've never met anybody here that, when I told them that, oh, I know Stubby. Everybody knows him and everybody loves Stubby.
Yeah. So we have had from the public, when we first talked about this, we've had a couple of requests and we definitely plan on following through with that consideration. Anything else?
No, thank you.
Thank you all. I hope you all have a happy holidays and thank you very much for coming tonight.
Every